who better than me?
Welcome back. Episode 50 of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. Big milestone. I didn't think I'd get to 50 episodes. Not in this amount of time anyway, but we're here. Channel's growing steadily, you know, week on week growth, so I can't complain. You know, I'd like to get those subscribers in a bit quicker, but hey, all progress is good progress, right? So I want to thank everyone who does tune in consistently to the episodes, and the people that tune in sort of from time to time as well. Like, thank you. It makes it worthwhile, you know, especially when you get the interaction. So please do get in the comments, do share the vids, especially if you agree with what I say, and if you disagree, like, share it and tell other people, hey, listen to this guy, like, what's he talking about? It's all good. There's only one place to go realistically, but before I get there, I did shoot a segment of footage the other day which didn't make one of the other videos just due to time, and I do want to get that put out there just before we get into this weekend's action. So without further ado, let's get into that, and then we can get into the good stuff moving forward. So it's been reported that Canelo Alvarez had two deals on the table. He had the PBC deal, which I believe we spoke about the other day, with having Jamal Charlo in May and then David Benavidez in September, which is supposed to be worth upwards of $100 million. He also had the DAZN deal, same time frame, with Dimitri Bivol being the first opponent in May, and then the Triple G, the Golovkin trilogy match in September, for the same amount of money, give or take. Now, rumors and reports are that he actually rejected the PBC deal about 10 days ago. That came by way of Michael Coppinger on Twitter. The way I see that one is, if it's true, it makes sense, only for the simple fact of, if we're not even comparing the fights and maybe the money they generate, or even just the fact that there's nothing of consequence on the PBC side apart from two opponents, as opposed to what you get on the DAZN side. There's a belt that you can contest for with Bivol, and then you've got the super money fight in the trilogy with Golovkin. It makes perfect sense. Also, outside of that, it could be a case of him seeing what PBC have been doing in terms of these rank pay-per-views, you know, Furman Barrios, and then like Martin and Ortiz, and just the model they have generally speaking. Maybe even the way the pay-per-view upside has been dished out from his fight with Caleb Plant. Maybe he's not so confident that that money is going to be there this time around. I've heard rumors. I can't corroborate any of them, but I've spoken to people who are normally on the inside of those meetings at Showtime and Fox. And yeah, apparently the budget ain't really there for that. So it could be interesting as to either where the money's coming from, or how the money's being acquired, or how long it's taking to actually get that money to the relevant person at the end of the day. Whereas on the DAZN side, no matter what people say about DAZN and whether it's got subscribers or not, more time than not, I don't think I've heard anyone, apart from maybe Billy Joe Saunders, say that they've never been paid their full amount as of yet. So yeah, in terms of that, I would definitely say that pound for pound, Canelo is making the right move. There's absolutely no reason now for Jamal Charlo not to face David Benavidez, or Caleb Plant to not face one of them coming off of a loss, unless he wants a comeback fight. But it's about time that these men start doing something to earn the payday. Like, fight someone credible. Jamal Charlo realistically needs to fight Andrade to unify, but since he doesn't want to unify, Andrade's gonna move up to 168 anyway, and possibly fight Zach Parker or David Benavidez. If Benavidez wins that fight, then yeah, cool. I'll say at that point you've earned a place in the Canelo sweepstakes. Jamal Charlo face Caleb Plant, same thing. Better yet, those four face each other. The winners of those fights face each other. The winner of that fight faces Canelo ultimately for whatever belts he's got left at 168, or fight him at 175 if you can make that weight. Personally, I think that's the best way to go about it. As I said, these men need to start doing something to earn this fight, rather than just being on Twitter with a bunch of like fanboys singing their praises when their resumes are absolute garbage compared to what they're asking for. Speaking of David Benavidez, let me bring him up really quick. Now, first of all, I don't actually blame him. I believe he wants a lot of these fights, but his manager, Samson Lukovic, is a clown. He's arguably the reason why half of these fights ain't happening for David. He's the reason that Caleb Plant unification never happened 2 years ago. And now it looks like he could be the reason Demetrius Andrade don't get to fight David Benavidez. And ultimately, no one can say, oh, he brings nothing to the table. He's a current 160 champion. If you beat him, that's a credible name on your record. More credible than any other name you have. Like Anthony Durrell isn't a bigger name than Demetrius Andrade on your record. Ronald Graville, who actually dropped you in the first fight, is not a more credible name than Andrade. Neither is Angulo. I don't even remember the rest of his opponents off the top of my head. So for Lukovic to act like, oh, Andrade means nothing, and for us to take that fight it's going to cost 10 million, like, that's ducking tactics 101. Like, that's not even, oh, let's start high and negotiate. That's just outright, we're pricing ourselves out of this fight, because there's absolutely no way you're getting that kind of money from the zone or anywhere else when you've never been on pay-per-view. You've probably never made more than $1 million a fight. There definitely isn't any pay-per-view upsides. So what's the highest purse he's probably had? What, 1 mil? 1.5 maybe? If we're being generous, let's say his highest payday has been 2 million. So you expect to get 5 times your highest payday against Demetrius Andrade for what purpose? Like, how do you really think that's gonna happen? And like I said, I don't blame David Benavidez, but his manager's an idiot. His manager seems to either be costing him fights left, right and center, or it's all a play just to keep him, quote unquote, undefeated, to make sure he remains in whatever sweepstakes is around. Realistically, he should have moved up to 175 a long time ago, because he can't make 168. Whether he's motivated or unmotivated, it's just not a healthy weight for him to be making. But you know what? I'm gonna leave that one there. That's for another time. I'll get into that. But yeah, I wanted to share my thoughts on that because, yeah, like I said, I don't blame Benavidez. I blame his manager. I think Lukovic is an idiot and he's costing his fighter the chance to be great. But my idea, as I said, I think it's the fairest, most perfect one. You have Andrade versus Benavidez. You have Charlo versus Plant. The winners of those two fights face each other. The winner of that fight can call out Canelo and get more credibility as to, you know, being able to say, well, I deserve that shot. And hell, if it's Plant ends up winning both, then guess what? That's the redemption. Get a chance to take him on again. Have part 2, because part 1 was decent enough, you know, but at least that way you would have earned a rematch. It's my opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So, first things first. when you take L's, some L's really hurt and some don't, because you didn't really want to predict what you predicted. So without further ado, I just want to first off, Natasha Jonas, amazing last night, couldn't have asked for any more. 2-round destruction of Christian Namas, which I didn't predict in any way, shape or form would happen. The way the fight played out was not the fight I envisioned in my head based on the previous performances of Chris and Natasha when coming up against those kind of base styles. 2-round destruction job was immaculate. Like, Natasha was punch perfect throughout. Now, to obviously explain my prediction and how I thought it would play out, and I've seen other channels give very similar predictions without maybe they want Natasha to win the fight, but they gave predictions as to why they could see it possibly not going her way. Like, Chris Namas, as I said, is more of a Crowder type fighter. She's normally the bigger girl, sort of boxes in spurts. She comes in, she'll try and get to the opponent, she'll try to hold and hit, as we did see pieces of in the first round and also the second round. The one thing that didn't happen in that particular fight last night though is she didn't go to rush Tasha, whereas normally that's her bread and butter, but she actually tried to box and, you know, sort of play tit for tat, even getting sort of pushed about by Tasha in terms of like ring generalship, which is stuff that I haven't seen in any of her previous fights. Now, maybe that could just be due to the quality of some of the opposition she had faced, but even in her fight with Cecilia Breakers several years back, she was a lot more come forward, and Breakers was literally like popping the jab, slipping out of the way of sort of counters and then sort of coming back with the counter. So looking at the base styles, I predicted a very different fight. The 2 years out of the ring, maybe that had more of a significance than I initially thought it would. 2 weeks notice for the fight. How good was the preparation beforehand? No idea. But there's nothing I can say that takes away from what Tash done last night. And look, everything being everything, like, it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Yeah, there might be people within a team that rub up a lot of us boxing fans the wrong way, but her as a person has always been like, you know, a stand-up woman, one of the nicest people you can kind of talk to. She always seems to give time, and yeah, I'm just really happy. Like I said, I took a massive L on the prediction that I gave, even the way I thought the fight would play out. None of it came to pass, but ultimately I'm extremely happy about it. So hey, this is one of them L's I am happy to take. Well done, Tash. I don't know what you do moving forward, whether you're gonna do the Hannah Rankin unification or maybe sail off into the sunset and just do punditry or whatever from now on, which I think, being a part of the Sky deal, probably had its perks for after the boxing life as well. But yeah, whatever it is, like, do it with pride, do it with confidence, do it with happiness. And now you've got that belt to take home to your daughter. I'm sure that's the icing on the cake. So congratulations. So let's talk about the main event. Now, in my previous video, I did say that if it wasn't for the fact I was getting to the Undefeated podcast live watch along down in Lewisham, that I would not have watched the fight live. And that's still the case. I didn't buy the pay-per-view. There was nothing that was tempting me to buy it. And ultimately, by going down to the watch along, I only got down there about 9 o'clock. So I saw it from, I think it was Adam Mazim was in the ring in the 4-rounder. And then Frazier Clark in the 6-rounder. And then Tash and Namas in obviously the championship fight, and then the main event. From what I saw of the undercard, it looked shocking. I'm a person, I have to see what's on the entire bill. I need at least 3 fights before I'm willing to part with my cash. And yeah, I know that Sky and Box are kind of in that rebuilding phase, and there's not that many stars. All these dates they got to get out, so they need to spread out the talent. But boy, if it wasn't for the build up of this main event from like the last 10 years, there's no way you could justify getting someone to pay for that fight. I'm sorry. However, let's talk about the fight. Utter destruction by Kell Brook from round 1 to round 6. Now, I actually predicted that I thought the fight would actually go to points. And I thought it would be a Kell Brook unanimous decision, with maybe Khan having some decent success in sort of the first 4 rounds, but Kell sort of taking over from round 5 and just systematically just breaking him down, but with Khan just being determined not to get stopped. So yes, I thought it'd be competitive the first couple. There was no competition whatsoever. From the ring walk, like, you saw Khan just looked, I've never seen Khan look that nervous walk into the ring before. Not as a 17-year-old, not when he was walking out after the Braders Prescott KO, like nothing. I've never seen that. And I don't know where that comes from, unless it was literally the same thing that I've been saying for years and everyone else has been saying for years. His whole thing is about, he just does not want to get beat by someone from the same country and the same region. And the way how the fight played out just ultimately tells you that his whole thing was literally anybody but him, anybody but these man. Like, I can take an L against anyone else in the world and it doesn't matter, but these local rivalries, they mean something different. And one guy was clearly just up for that more than the other. Like, Khan talked an amazing game beforehand, but even through the talk, you could see at points there was little cracks. There was times when he just didn't look as confident as he was portraying himself. I feel like when we go to the gloves are off that they had, because that was so far away from the fight, it's almost like, well, he's not gonna make the weight, or there's gonna be so much things that's gonna happen. I doubt this fight's even gonna happen, but I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna get under his skin, because these are the things that is gonna just throw him off his game. And it's like, I feel like I've done that at times when I've been supposed to do something, or I've said something in the heat of the moment, not really thinking about, oh, but I've got to see this person like later on. And then when it's time for me to go see this person, okay, now there's a bit more nerves there than there was before, because, oh, it's actually real, like it's happening. And I feel like that's kind of what happened here. The closer it got to the event, all of a sudden, the less confident he became, because he realized, oh, we're actually here, like this is actually happening. So yeah, his ring walk told you a lot. Him being in the ring told you he is not confident. Kell was switched on, like from as soon as he was walking down the ramp, you could tell, like, this was his moment. This is everything he's been working for. Like, to him, this is life, and nothing tops this moving forward. And the fight played out as such. Like, the first round was competitive for the first minute and a half. And then Kel out of nowhere comes with that sort of, it's almost like that jab come hook. Caught Khan, hit him with a straight right, and then I think he caught him with another hook just after that, and Khan's legs just went. Kel moved in, but he didn't rush. He never rushed his work, but he moved in cautiously, and I think he went to go swing one wild-ish punch, and Khan was able to counter him a little bit and hit him with something. But everything that Khan hit Brook with, like, it's almost like Brook laughed it off, like, wait, this is what you thought you was gonna knock me out with? And so systematically, so when he realized that there was no real power from coming back from Khan, even the combos weren't, there was no combos comboing the way they normally do, he just, okay, I'm just gonna walk you down. If you look at their base styles, Kel is definitely the boxer puncher, and Khan is almost like a pressure, is like a front foot pressuring pure boxer. If you was to look at how they fight, but Brook, almost, he just became almost like a pressure fighter at that point. There was no need to come setting up shots. There was no need to look to time. He was beating Khan to the jab, which is something that you didn't expect. You would expect him to maybe counter between shots, but you never expected him to beat him to the jab when Khan is supposed to be the faster of the two. And yeah, it was a systematic beat down from round 1 to round 6, but he didn't drop Khan. And in my prediction, the one thing I said was there's a very good chance that, like, Khan could get dropped or something, but he'll go into survival mode, and his whole thing will then just be, I cannot get knocked out by this guy. And if you see the way the fight was playing out, every time he got hit with something hard, instead of trying to exchange with Brook the way he normally would, he backed off, got into a high enough guard that he could try and block anything that was coming that he could see directly on, and he just moved. I've never seen Khan move that much around except for the Maidana fight in the last, I think it was like the 11th round. He didn't even do it much in the 12th, but the 11th round, it was just moving. It's like, I need to get out of here. I get out of here because I can't give this guy the opening. And that was my reasoning as to why I thought it could end up getting points. Ultimately, you could see Brook didn't drop him once. So when I've said, you know, neither of these guys have knocked out anyone at the world level, you know, or that sort of that upper world elite level, to suggest that they've got the power to hurt each other, that's kind of true. I mean, yeah, Khan took an absolute beating in those first 6 rounds. His face tells a story, but he didn't go down. Now, maybe that's because maybe Kel was slightly pulling his punches a bit because he just wanted to hurt him. That's a possibility. Or maybe he just doesn't have the necessary oomph or the necessary skill to properly, you know, find that target against someone that is a seasoned elite world-class guy. Maybe his power only really gets realized at that European and lower British level or mid-British level. Similar, I could say, segue into someone like Deontay Wilder. Amazing power, but who has it really taken out, like, at any real level of competition? At most, you can say maybe one guy. So it's very similar in that sense, which was my feeling. Like, I didn't think the fight would actually catch fire as quick as it did. I thought it would be a bit more strategical and cagey in the first 4, just because both guys didn't want to, you know, lose out to the other. But yeah, took off straight away. It was 6 rounds, and ultimately the ref jumped in and waved it off. Khan was taking a beating. It was only game 1 where he probably would have ended up getting down sooner or later, or the towel probably would have come in, just because you can't take 7 rounds, 8 rounds, 9 rounds of just a constant one-way beating with nothing going back the other way. But yeah, from what I've seen on Twitter, the entire card was pretty much one-sided beatdowns. So yeah, the fact there was no back and forth even in the main event might have people saying, well, you know, so how was that pay-per-view worthy when like there was no competition throughout the entire card? But admittedly, the last two fights were supposed to be highly competitive, so you know, you gotta give them some leeway here, you know, there. So I won't critique too much outside of the fact of just knowing that, yeah, that card was never going to get my money. But congrats to Kell Brook. I've seen that Chris Eubank Jr. has been calling him out now, saying that there's bad blood between them. Well, because he got the Golovkin fight, even though it was Eubank's team that stalled and didn't sign contracts, and stalled until a point where, you know, someone else got offered the fight. It is what it is. Like, you can't blame Brook for that. And ultimately, like, you being a 160 pounder is calling out two 147 guys when you're supposed to be talking about championships. Like, it's not a great look. Eubank, Wasserman, like, sort it out. But anyway, that's for another time. I might address that in a later video. I just wanted to talk about a fight. Like, the right person won. I said Brook would win. You know, I thought it was a potential to go the distance. I didn't think it would be as one-sided as it was, especially not in the first four. But yeah, it clearly showed one guy's been wanting it more than the other, and it also shows why one guy has avoided this fight as long as they have. You can say what you want to say in, you know, all the background talks of, you know, Khan's dad Shah and all that. Oh no, we always wanted to fight, things just always happen. No, like, everyone can now see you purposefully ran from this fight. Not necessarily because you're scared of Kell, because I always say I don't think fighters are scared of another man. They're just scared of what that man represents. And in this sense, it was Brook represents you not being the best in the UK. And that is what then hurts your legacy, especially when it's a guy who's from the same, you know, the same type of territory as you. So it is what it is. I'm gonna leave it there. That's the end of today. I gotta do some work now for the Undefeated podcast. You guys will see that coming out soon. But for now, as always, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I might go into this in a bit more detail in a future episode. But yeah, episode 50 is down. Hopefully a lot more to come. And as I said, thank you everyone who's been riding with me. For the moment, Hardcore Casual, out.